Well, hello, my beautiful Aquarians. Welcome to my channel. This is Baba Jolie here with your twin flame reading for the end of November, right through the end of December 2025. I've already cleansed your space and have meditated on your cards. For those of you who are returning, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for all your wonderful likes, shares, and subscribes. I am truly grateful for all your beautiful energy. Just a little reminder though, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one reading, just so you're aware. Also, please be mindful, scammers are about, pretending to be me and lots of other tarot readers. I do not do personal readings and I will never reach out to you personally to offer one. Also, I will never ask you for money, e-gifts, or donations. So if anyone masquerading as me asks for anything at all, please report them or ignore them. It is a scam, okay? Let's move straight on with your reading. Now, I will be using Gaia chimes, so please be mindful to turn down your volume if you are someone who is sensitive to sound. So let us start your reading and let us begin. Okay, my beautiful Aquarians, this is your twin flame reading for those twins who are currently in separation. The first pile will be your pile, the second pile will be your person's pile, and the third pile is the unified energy of how things come together. Also, it is worth noting that if anyone is mentally, physically, or emotionally abusive, that is not a twin flame connection. That is more likely to be a false flame connection, and it really will drain you of your beautiful love and waste your wonderful time, okay? Now, I will give a little bite-sized idea of what it means to be in a twin flame dynamic. There's much more to be found online, so please fast forward this part if you already know or have heard what I've said before about twin flame dynamics, and get to the part where I show your first card, okay? But if you're sticking with me, twin flames, as you know, are magnetic. It's an overwhelming experience of emotion, of passion, intensity. You are literally drawn to your person like no other. And of course, it's an otherworldly experience because there is a depth to the dynamic like no other. Now, I like to explain twin flames like magnets. So imagine you are a magnet and your person is a magnet, and at the very core of you, you both share the same frequency. So you seek each other out in each lifetime. It is an attraction that is something that will be bound to happen. It is destiny. It is fated that you are meant to meet this person. And of course, if you think about two magnets that are identical in polarities, they push and pull. They want to be together, but there's something in between, you know, that invisible force that prevents them from connecting in an authentic and solid way. Now, it's not a game, it's an energetic exchange. There tends to be a runner, a chaser, and a separation period. Now, that's not always typical to form, but it tends to be the norm, of course. And, you know, if you think about those magnets, both you and your twin, you want to be together, but there is something in between. Now, that space in between is the pause. So there tends to be that separation period, which can often feel very isolating, lonely, and confusing. So I'm sending you a huge hug out there and so much love, because it is a very challenging experience that not everybody takes. Some people decide to cut the cord with their twin. You can do that. There's only one twin flame. You can have many soulmates, of course, but you will always remember your twin. And when you come together in a union, if you choose the journey, then of course it is very rewarding, but there has to be some personal development and growth in between during that space, okay? Now, twin flames, the journey itself is activated, so it's more about accepting your spiritual awakening than it has to be regarding, you know, a physical relationship, shall we say. The twin flame dynamic is, of course, physical and romantic in nature, very intense, electric, and there's a lot of chemistry between you and your person right at the beginning, but then the process kicks in, and that process prepares both parties to release lower vibrational energy that keeps either party, so it could be you or your person or both, stuck in addictive patterns, unhealthy attachments, fear. There can be so many other things like codependency, trust issues, feelings of low self-worth, addictions to substances, you know, so there can be so many things. Please apply it to your situation. It's going to be different for everybody, of course. But the separation period must occur. And I always say, do not wait for your twin, because of course, your twin has a journey that has its own timeline, and it can take days, weeks, months, years, decades, your whole life. And you want to get busy living, because the universe will actually bring you back together when the moment is right to try again. And I kid you not, when I met my twin, you know, there was the running experience. I didn't realize I was the runner, okay? I was just very broken from a previous experience. I was too scared to love because I felt unlovable. I was a shell of myself, and that's not an excuse. I was actually just really afraid, you know, and I didn't realize. I just kept my distance. But of course, the universe kept making sure that I bumped into my twin in a city of millions of people, and more than once. So I'm telling you, the universe will draw you back together. So breathe. What is meant for you really will never pass you by. But get busy living. Do not wait for the process, because you have to put all your time, care, and attention inwards in order to transform that frequency. Remember, you are a magnet. So you have to look at the frequency within yourself. And as soon as you focus on your personal journey of discovery, and it is, you know, a vibrational transformation inside of you, and it is a journey that must be done alone for you to discover your true life's mission and your calling, you know, your purposeful path, as it were. But also you must embrace unconditional love for self. And during this healing process, because twins, they tend to have something to heal. And of course, this is something that occurred before you even meet your twin. So anything that has been left unresolved within yourself, this is something that will be triggered and amplified within the union. That is the job of the twin flame dynamic. Now, of course, it is a formed sacred union, often as the result of shared difficulty and pain. So you'll notice a mirroring experience. You may notice that you and your twin have had very similar experiences or wounds, as it were, not completely identical in that respect, I have to say, but the lessons tend to be very much the same. And I also want you to be aware that they reflect back to you your greatest strengths, but also your greatest weaknesses. That's why when you spin off into the separation period, you really focus on being more creative. You look at where you are feeling insecure or hurt in the relationship, because that is amplified from something from before, okay? Now, the runner, I want you to be aware of this kind of mirroring experience. When the runner looks at you, my beautiful Aquarians, they're looking at parts of themselves that they are avoiding, that they've been running away from their whole life. So it feels very personal. When the chaser just loves, I mean, looking at your cards, you've got the Queen of Cups there. You just love your person unconditionally. And of course, you are very guarded as well. We'll tap into that in a moment, because you have a 7 of Wands there. But I feel it's very important to recognize that it's not personal. It is something that they are avoiding within themselves, and they push their twin away because their twin is getting too close, and the twin flame dynamic is very exposing. You cannot hide in a twin flame dynamic. If they have a usual typical pattern with romance in the past, they cannot get away with it with you because you call them out on it. Twins see through the BS, and that's why it spins both parties off, and they do a lot of thinking. Even in separation, they're always thinking about each other. Even though I was a runner, I was almost obsessively thinking about my twin. I didn't understand it. I was like, what is this in my head? Why am I being called back to this person? I do not understand, but I did love, and I wanted to shout my love from the mountaintops. But out of fear, it literally got caught in my throat. So again, I am coming from a different perspective when it comes to twin flame dynamics. You know, of course, we evolve, and the dynamic has to shift. So you both spend time in each other's shoes, so chaser becomes a runner and vice versa, and then you come together in a union that is sustainable, okay? But both of you need to embrace your personal true life's mission and path that you're called to walk, as well as embrace unconditional love for self. So, you know, sometimes, and this is coming up in your energy, my beautiful Aquarians, one of the lessons that you've been called to learn in this particular twin flame dynamic is that you're an overgiver. And sometimes you make yourself uncomfortable at the cost of other people's comfort. So this is something that perhaps you've been really aware of in this twin flame dynamic. But let's get to your cards. That was a bite-sized idea of twin flame shifts, of course. And remember the magnets, as soon as you put all your time, attention inwards, you shift the frequency. So therefore, this magnet is now drawn closer because, of course, the frequencies are different. It encourages your person to do the work as well. And, of course, they will either step up or step out because not all twin flames can make it. You know, I'm going to give it to you straight. Some people just cannot, you know, resolve things within themselves. Everybody can go through some level of trauma. We all have different coping mechanisms. We cannot judge another person's coping mechanism because it's not something we've experienced. We can only meet each other as deeply as we have met ourselves. So very important. I feel you and your person are doing a lot of soul searching and a lot of learning right now. And your first card there is the stork. So this definitely means some movement and improvement, but it also indicates that there was some sudden change that went on in your connection. There is a lot of love here. I mean, you gave your whole heart to this person. The Queen of Cups is one of the most sensitive, emotionally available energies in the deck. There was a lot of understanding there. You were in love, okay? And it was raw. And I feel like you were seeking something really true and honest and raw in a world that feels so uncertain. And I felt, you know, this desire for love and to be loved was very present in the connection with you and your person. I mean, looking at your person's energy, they see that they were destined to meet you, and they're doing a lot of thinking right now, okay? They know that they need to transform in order to come towards you, so they're aware of it. Some twins are not aware, so I want you to be aware that, you know, there is clarity going on in this twin flame dynamic, in the shift. And it's because you have stepped away. With that Seven of Wands, you're a little bit more guarded in this situation. You're guarding your heart. You saw this connection as precious. You wanted to settle down with this person. You saw your future with this person. With the stork energy, this is a nesting energy. So a lot of you, you know, it was going well up until a certain point. Then suddenly there was a shift and you may have been questioning ever since. But the stork indicates you thought about settling down with this person. You know, there's moments of hope because we've got 17 there on that card, which is the star energy. So you do hope for some sort of reconciliation, but only if they come good. Because right now, there is this energy of like endurance, pushing on through, not really wanting to give up on this connection because you've come this far. But at the same time, you're aware that you need to guard your heart because this person, you know, they're at a stalemate in their life. They're not talking. They've shut down and they've gone inwards for answers. Now, that's kind of where you want them to be because if they're always on the run, then I would say that, you know, there's no resolution here. There's definitely a trust issue. We've got the fox. Okay, so we've also got the snake. So this can indicate two things to me that's coming through straight away. One is, and I'm hearing, ooh, okay, thanks so much, I'm truly grateful. I'm hearing a very famous song by Amy Winehouse to kind of solidify one of the energies that are coming through. I'm picking up on a person where there is toxicity, okay? So this can be through a substance with the snake and the fox. And the song is, they tried to make me go to rehab, but I said, no, no, no. Okay, so that's a very famous song by Amy Winehouse there. So some of you may be dealing with a person who is caught up in addiction, okay, in some way, shape, or form, or it can be that they are a party person and they were not willing to relinquish the party lifestyle, you know, for love. So that's something I'm getting straight away for some of you. Some of you may have actually met this person through like partying or things like that, or there was some sort of substance there. I mean, it could be alcohol, it could be anything else, you know, no judgment here. I'm just picking up on the vibes in this, and I'm not here to take anyone's side, by the way. I'm here to understand so I can understand the outcome. But I feel this person's numbing something, numbing some sort of trust issue or some sort of truth that makes them feel a little bit insecure. They're always looking back in your direction. That's something that is clear, but I feel like they want to change. They've suddenly stood still and started to think about changing their lifestyle or changing, you know, something about themselves in some way. Now, also the second energy I've got coming through is this person has been cheated on in the past, okay? And they basically, it's like when they get into a relationship and they start to really feel, because this person's numbing feelings, that's what I'm getting. And it could be on either side. They're just running away from something, and it feels very much like they've been cheated on, and they learnt lessons about just being inaccessible to people, not being pinned down, that sort of energy, okay? But I feel like you didn't expect to fall in love with this person when you first met them, but here we are. And of course, you know that this person's your twin, but the stork is an energy of sudden improvement, renewal. So it can be that both of you are in a transition period of the twin flame dynamic. It's a rite of passage. It has to happen, whether it is for a day or, as I said, decades. It has to happen. If you think about some of the famous couples who have separated and then come together, they are twin flame dynamic examples, okay? And with that stork energy, isn't that interesting? You've got the Queen of Cups equivalent at the bottom. It's got the Queen of Hearts there. This is the equivalent of that Queen of Cups. There's so much love, a depth of love like no other that you've offered this person. You offer this person sanctuary. You were there for them. You were very supportive there. You offered a healing influence to this person. And often people who are light workers or healers, natural healers, you know, they tend to attract people who have gone through very challenging experiences who are seeking healing. Okay, so this person tends to reach out when they are going through times of stress or trouble. If they feel distraught about something, you may have noticed that they have a cycle. There's two cards here that highlight a cycle that you've had with this person. We have I should really cover the World card energy there because YouTube does not like the riskiness of the World card there. So we've got the Wheel of Fortune, we've got the World. So there's a cycle going on here. This person that is your twin flame is aware that you are destined. You know, you are supposed to be together, but they've been doing a lot of running away from fate, or, I mean, you can't outsmart fate. You can't, you know. So of course we have divine will and we can choose not to connect to something that we are on course to perhaps experience. But the Two of Swords indicates they're feeling a little bit confused or uncertain right now. So they're doing a lot of soul searching. And I feel soul searching going on both sides. This person is in a solitary energy. You know, they're very guarded. I mean, both of you are very guarded. There's literally a stalemate going on here. And I feel you and your person, it's about breaking down the cycle. You know, breaking out of a bad habit or out of, you know, a typical encounter with your twin. And you're making that happen by keeping your distance, erecting healthier boundaries. This is a card that indicates that you're at your peak. You are your best self right now. Even though you're doing some spiritual work, you're doing some transformative energy within yourself. This is you being very passionate. This is you engaging in sustained effort in this connection, but feeling really guarded. So you may have withdrawn briefly in order to really focus more on your own self-care, because this is a card of needing, of course, emotional security, but needing to take better care of yourself. And when you start to put all that love, care, and devotion inwards, you're changing the frequency. So by stepping back, you're encouraging your person to do one of two things: sit with self and think, or come forward with action. Now, your particular twin flame, they are sitting with self and thinking before they act. So I feel both of you right now, whilst it is at a stalemate, I feel like there is this transformative energy going on where, you know, you're ending a typical way of doing things. So when you next encounter your twin, it is going to be different. But looking at the energy right now, I feel both of you are withdrawn. You're learning more about yourself. So I don't see any communication here right now. I got to be honest with you. Got to give it to you straight. I feel a lot of transformation. You're in the transition towards something greater within this union. And as you can see with that snake, it is number 7, which of course is the Chariot card there. So I feel it's important to recognize this person wants to transform. They want to shed old ways. They want to, you know, do something about toxicity. Now, this can also indicate that this person has a toxic cycle of repeat, and no one should be coming at you with toxicity. Okay, so they need to do a lot of spiritual work. That's why the Hermit is there, and the Two of Swords. I feel it's on both sides. Both of you are getting clarity, and both of you in this separation period are seeking healing. I feel a lot of you, my beautiful Aquarians, are seeking emotional healing. There's something about your person where there is emotional, but most importantly, cerebral healing, something psychological going on here. So either, their past relationship, it was very abusive, or, there was some sort of experience this person had that has psychologically marked this person. More than anything, I'm getting a previous relationship where a person was not very nice to your person. And I'm not giving anyone an excuse. Everyone should take accountability for their actions. We are conscious of our actions having a repercussion. And with the snake energy, I feel your person wants to change. They are fed up of being in the same cycle. Snakes are very transformative. This is the year of the snake. This is the year that you and your person transform the cycle that you've been in so that you can set yourself free. Now, because you have the Seven of Wands there, my beautiful Aquarians, I feel a lot of you are like, I don't really want to give up on this. I've come this far to only come this far. I don't really feel like you want to do that, okay? Because the Queen of Cups is still present, which tells me you still love this person. However, the outcome energy, we've got the World. Now, the World can be something that is final or complete. And more than anything, because there is a cycle here, I feel there is an energy here of completing a cycle with this person and feeling fulfillment within oneself. I feel both of you had to learn to be happy separate, to find happiness within yourself, to go searching inwards for answers, connect to your spiritual path, and find healing. And only when that occurs can you and your person really come back together in a union. I will pull cards after the World card just to see what's beyond the cycle, because this is a card of accomplishment. It is about integration. So it can be about leaning in together. However, the Hermit is present, which is a very solitary card, okay? And the Two of Swords in your person's energy right now, they're very unsure. They've shut down. They're in a place where they are thinking about things. They're trying to take a break to consider their options in life, but also I feel in a peaceful state of mind, the right answer is coming towards them, which is they literally feel like you changed their life and you were destined to meet. They know that you are divinely fated as a twin flame. Now, they may not describe it as a twin flame, but they feel there's something different about you, especially since we've got that Two of Swords. This is uncharted territory for them. You are on their mind. Normally, if they're in a relationship, they could cut and run, or they could use a usual cycle of repeat, but not with you. Something is different here. So that's why I feel with this Two of Swords, they feel there's a threat to their heart, basically, because the swords are up, they are guarded, they're shut down, they're not open emotionally to be in a high-level commitment, and they certainly cannot give you the relationship that you deserve and desire at this present moment in time. Now, that doesn't mean never, it just means not right now, but don't wait for your twin, because it could take a long time for them to turn their life around and be in a state to open up to a high-level commitment. And you're not a light switch, my beautiful Aquarians. You're not just there waiting to be turned on and off whenever this person, decides to come back into your life. So just watch out for that. And also, actions speak louder than words. So important. Always watch actions and if they are co-aligning with any words that are said, because words are wonderful. They have such power, but they can be flowery, okay, and inconsistent with actions. Now we have the Wheel of Fortune in your person's energy. This is how they feel about you. A transformative experience. You've set them thinking for sure. You've made them stop in their tracks. This person is not running. We've got that Wheel of Fortune energy. They've discovered that actually there's something destiny based around you, and this is an energy where they are aware they need to change, okay? When you have the Wheel of Fortune, it is about breaking a pattern. The way things always have been have now shifted, and there's something different about this person. So we have the Fox. I feel this person is learning, because it's shown up with the book there. This can be learning about a trust issue, or learning about, certain patterns and how they are perceived. And, the Fox is an energy of no trust, or having been cheated on, for example. It is an outcome energy. If it was just on its own, and it was like with the Sun, for example, it could be that it's highlighting there is some patterns here where there's no trust in the relationship. But I feel this is a learnt energy. When you have the book, it can indicate something from someone's past has influenced this connection. So there's a trust issue here. Either you or your person or both have been cheated on before you even have met each other. And this is something that has played out in the connection, because I'm seeing two very guarded people here. Seven of Wands, Two of Swords, both perceiving a threat. It's like, I love you, but you could hurt me. And sometimes people take back control in relationships by saying, actually, I'm going to keep love over there because last time I got involved in love, it really hurt. And this person is way more important to me, so that means it will literally destroy me. So people keep love at arm's length, especially if they feel they could get hurt again, but in a more monumental way. So with that Fox, this person, you know, with that 14 is the temperance energy. So that means people getting their lives together. It means balance, harmony, leaning into that sense of purpose, but also it's patience. And of course, the Fox indicates that at the root of this relationship, this trust issue, in order to resolve it, it's going to take patience, okay? So with the book, this is about learning, it's about knowledge, but also notice this book is closed. Closing a chapter on a trust issue or closing a chapter on this relationship. Now, because you've stepped back, my beautiful Aquarians, a lot of you have had the thought of like, I can't do this again. But at the bottom of the very core of your soul, there's still a lot of love. So as a self-preservation mode, I feel like you did kind of shut down quite quickly and removed your energy, probably not giving to this as much as you used to because you're feeling really guarded and you feel that, you know, this person just keeps coming towards you in the same energy and nothing changes. Well, little bits change. I feel this person is definitely doing a monumental change in their life right now. Four of Pentacles. To feel safe and secure in the relationship. So there's something in this person's family or foundation as well. Because when you have the book, this is about history. It can also be about, family kind of structures, something in the home life. Four of Pentacles has solidified that. That can indicate the very foundation of this person. They've learnt that love is something not to be trusted. So that can indicate they've witnessed parents or guardians divorcing or cheating on each other or, you know, disrespecting each other in some way or toxic environments. And that was the first foundation of what it means to be in love that they are witnessing as a child. And you know, with the Fox, it can indicate that they thought they were being clever by saying, you know what, I'm just going to keep people at a distance. I'm not going to fall in love. I'm not going to let anyone in. I'm self-sufficient. I'm independent. I don't need anybody. But then suddenly the twin flame comes in and it's like, boom. It's a bolt to the heart where suddenly they are reactivated, they're feeling, and then they are very still. They're like, well, what happened here? Remember, when someone is kind of shocked with something or there is something that has been monumental to make you feel something, suddenly, especially if you've been in a trauma response in the past or if you have been in previous challenging experiences, the first thing you do is go into a period of protection and stillness in order to observe. This card indicates this person has done that, but they've gone inwards. They're like, how am I feeling about this? They're not looking outside of themselves right now. They're looking inside, and that's exactly where you want them to be. Eight of Cups and the Three of Wands. Four of Pentacles, Three of Wands, and Eight of Cups. This tells me that whoever this person is, their family lineage, their parents or guardians, there was a lot of like upping and leaving. Okay, so this can be like people coming back or upping and leaving. There was, with that Eight of Cups, it's like someone eventually left, but they were always kind of teetering on the edge of leaving, or they're always looking at other people, always flirting. You know, there was just a lot of energy within this person's witnessing. I want to say it was a witness. They witnessed this from parents or guardians, and eventually, you know, there was a leaving element to it. So I would say that this person, if they're going to talk about their family lineage, they may say, I wish that they'd separated earlier rather than had all that drama in between, because it was clear they were not happy with each other. They're talking about their parents or guardians. Now, there's no blame here. No one comes with a manual of how to do life. But I feel this is something that is scarred, as it were, on this person's heart. But they've also had their own experience of being cheated on in a relationship. Now, I'm just going to pull a card on this Fox and book in terms of your relationship with this person and how it is going to move past that world energy. We've got the Tower, which is to liberate, and we've got the Knight of Swords. This is a shock change of lifestyle, okay? And the Knight of Swords is about adapting to things in a different way, broadening perspective. It is about evolving and, you know, basically responding differently. So there is a break in the cycle here. The Tower is an ego death. It is about breaking down anything that isn't true or real. Okay, it's also an energy of reaching higher frequencies. The Tower actually liberates someone out of a psychological prison, or, you know, liberates someone out of a stuck phase. If you're going round and round in circles in something, the Tower normally is present. But then suddenly, boom, the universe helps you make that breakthrough. So I would say, you know, there is a sudden communication from your person, but I would say it's really close to the end of the year, or just into the new year, okay? I don't feel it's going to be very soon, is what I'm seeing, but the Knight of Swords can indicate like a flurry of messages, or someone rushing in and saying something really eagerly, maybe even in haste, that they want to kind of like, I don't want to say that they want to recall it or call it back, but I'm getting this energy of like, say for example, it's New Year's and this person's celebrating, right? And they send you a message on New Year's. The next day they're going to be like, oh, I'm really sorry, I sent you a message, you know, and they may even be, I would say, they're in the middle of a transition, so they're not quite there yet. So they could even say things like, you know what, oh, sorry, that was a mistake. And you're like, excuse me. But then they're going to back it up after a little pause and say, actually, it wasn't a mistake. Actually, I did mean to message you. Actually, I want to know how you are. Actually, I miss you. So there is going to be this element to this person. I want you to be aware of it, because this person, the Tower, it's like they're so guarded. They prefer to see like a knee-jerk reaction in someone else to gauge how they can make their next move, because the Fox is present. So I want you to be aware of that. Very immature energy, I know, and I'm not here. I don't make the rules, okay? I'm not here to tell you something that's not there, but just be a little bit mindful of that. But this person, they will kind of like reach out, but it feels very much, as I said, on the cusp of the new year. So as we close out the year, I feel the majority of the rest of the year is kind of like you and them in a separate energy, you know, really reflecting on what happened, going through a healing process, trying to get out there and shine your own light there, but also go inwards for answers. So, I mean, I hate to give you that message, but there is communication in your future, but it feels like in a far off future, even though the end of the year is like, is it 6, 7, 8 weeks? I'm not sure. But with that world energy, I feel there is some sort of movement or change as we step into the new year there, okay? Now, I feel more than anything, there may be a question hanging over this relationship, which is, should I stay? Should I go? The answer will only be apparent to you as we close out the year. You'll make your decision. Right now, you're very guarded. You're like, I can't do this anymore. I need to give back to myself. You know, you need to recognize that you're a gift. When it comes to a relationship, my beautiful Aquarians, that you are lovable and that your person needs to come good with action and reciprocity before you can move forward, but also must take accountability. You know, with the Two of Swords and then the Knight of Swords, that's going from someone who's been deeply thinking and reflecting on who they are to like suddenly like saying it all, like a rush of conversation. So you just want to make sure that this person, you know, they've got actions and words to back it up, okay? Knight of Swords is a truthful person, someone who is quick to, you know, change their behavior, but it is sustainable. I want you to be aware of that, because they are really making monumental changes in their life. So your twin, whoever I'm picking up on there, they may actually tell you that they're giving something up for the new year, okay? I know it's a little bit early to be thinking about that, but I feel this is something they've really been reflecting on. And this is going to also be a monumental help when it comes to transforming this particular twin flame dynamic reading that I'm picking up on. Thank you so much, Spirit Guides, Guardian Angels. That's really interesting. That card has never come up, and it says, I'm still healing wounds from a past relationship. And that's what I felt in your person's energy. Ooh. As I said, there was a very interesting kind of twist on this twin flame dynamic, where there is some sort of psychological healing or something psychological going on here. And you've also got another card that has popped out. These two cards have never popped out in any readings that I've done, and I've used this deck a lot. It says, I'm still healing wounds from a past relationship. And the other one is, I send you telepathic messages. You can feel this person, you know, you'll dream a lot about this person, especially in and around full moons and eclipses is what I'm being given. That's them psychologically reaching out to you on the astral plane, okay? But that's for another reading. That's a very deep message that is coming through there. I keep a close eye on your social media. Really interesting because that did not come up in the reading. However, you know, of course, in this day and age, people do take a peek. And if you're on social media, this person has been looking at what you're up to because they're called to. They have this desire. Remember, you are the magnet. They are attracted to you. They yearn for you as much as you do for them, but there is that space in between, and I feel like they're learning that they need to look at the space in between, and that's what they are doing. I miss you. I feel like that is true, okay, in this person's energy because they want to change. They want to get out of their own way. I pretend I don't care because I care too much. This person actually has a very deep heart. They're very soulful, but something that they experienced in a previous relationship really shut them down. And they were not kind of looking for love when they first met you. However, they know that you are destined to have met. They know that you are their destiny. That's what they've been thinking about. And both of you need to learn more about yourselves, what you want in a relationship, certainly what you do not want in a relationship, and only then you come together in that union. So I'm just going to go and get a trinket or rune before we close. Ooh, what have we got here? Oh, we've got a little, you know, beautiful cat there. Now, there's only one cat. There tends to be like little circles, flowery circles here in there with a couple of cats, but this has only got one. So I would say for the time being, this is about embracing your independence, leaning into self-care. If you think about the cat, very independent energy, and there is a butterfly that the cat is looking at. I hope you can see that. It's so small, so cute, but it is looking at the butterfly. So it is contemplating transformation. When you think about the symbology of the cat, all about independence, and the butterfly is the nature of change, evolution, and setting yourself free, then you will notice that that is the cycle that your twin flame dynamic is in this present moment, okay? So it's not never, it's just not now. And I would say there's only a bit of a change there, either on the cusp from 25 into 26, okay? So I'll leave it there, my beautiful Aquarians. Thank you so much, and love and light.